Ah, yes, the great book of forbidden knowledge, where all the questions that can never be answered are found, such as, why did the blue aardvark wear a shirt and shorts that were exactly the same color as the rest of him? Oh, hello. Welcome back to the Library of Horror Hotel. Creeps, it's time for Creepy Cheapies, where we look at the best in reasonably priced monster masks. And, well, it's a bit self-serving, and apologies and all that, but as you may know, the year 2026 contained a great deal of turmoil. Global events making the news, making the headlines, lots of things happening in 2026, intense and widespread and of great interest to the public, and certainly of historical significance later on, if there is a later on for this planet. But certainly, I'm pretty sure the most significant thing that 2026 will be remembered for is it was the year a lot of the Halloween monster masks came out behind schedule. Yeah, that's pretty significant. So with that in mind, I have chosen to do, as a lot of people have suggested and asked me to do, which is talk about a few of my own characters, masks of my own. Okay, so if that seems too self-serving, turn this off and go watch cat videos. But if you're okay with it, let me tell you about one of my friends here. I thought this was so obvious. I'm sure I'm not the first guy in the world ever to think of it, although I seem to be the first guy in the world who've ever really done anything with it. I don't know, but I thought it was almost a no-brainer. It is, of course, I'm talking about this guy, the OctoPumpkin. Yeah, I thought about calling him Jacko Cthulhu or Pump Cthulhu or something like that, and I thought, no, that's too messy and confusing and ties him into something specific, and I'd rather he just be an OctoPumpkin. And it's pretty straightforward, I think. Can you see the tag there? There's my original sketch upon which he was based. He was sculpted way back at the year 2024, if you can remember back that far, or if you were even born yet in 2024. That's when he was sculpted by our good friend and expert, very experienced, very reliable and trustworthy and efficient mask-making companion, old Chris Russell, formerly of TwistedToyBox.net, and since then of CoffinGhoul.com. I believe the CoffinGhoul.com website was down for a while, but it may be up again by the time you see this production about the OctoPumpkin. Anyway, in 2024, Chris Russell said to me, that is, that he would be interested in sculpting some masks for me of some of my designs based on my drawings, and one of the ones I wanted to see done as a mask was, of course, the OctoPumpkin. Now, I thought this was rather obvious as I was starting out saying there, because pumpkins have, and these are called ribs in the case of real pumpkins, pumpkins have these vertical lines, right, sort of dividing them. Well, I thought kind of a natural to take the upper part of a pumpkin that looks rather like an ordinary pumpkin, and then what if those sections, what if those ribs, instead of traditionally rounding back up to the bottom of a pumpkin, what if they sort of flared out? What if they could be independently moving? What if they became tentacles? And no, I know there aren't 10, there are 8. Well, that was deliberate. That's the octo part. Yeah. Yeah, just like October, OCTO. Yeah. What? Yeah. No, it doesn't make sense. October is the 10th month, and we still call it October as though it were the 8th. That's because of things that happened a long time ago that had to do with changing official names for the months of the year, and we'll talk about that later, okay? OctoPumpkin here was therefore a 2024 release, designed by me, comes complete with a tag there, as you can see, sculpted by Chris Russell, and premiered at the 2024 Mask Fest, which happened to be in September of 2024, and happened to be Mask Fest the 13th. And each one of these has little eye cuts above his little eyeballs. They're not this whole area isn't cut out. There's mostly black in there, but there's a small area. You could cut that out bigger if you wanted to, and I considered cutting that whole area out and putting black mesh net fabric behind there, kind of like in the Scream ghost face masks. But it turns out when you put this on your head, it didn't really need it because it fairly well lines up with where you can see out of just smaller cuts. I did, however, cut out his nose. I did cut out his nose on each copy. Now, interestingly enough, I got to thinking after a while, might be interesting to see what these would look like, a little bit different paint job, and I thought green would be a logical addition to the character because not only do pumpkins in real life have little green tendrils, although you don't often see them because they hide from people. You don't often see them, but they do have little green tendrils in real life, and the green tentacles sort of works as an octopus-like characteristic, I thought. So painted just a few of them. How many did I do? 3 copies? I think not many. Like this, which is the green version, which just is, you know, the same up above, but then with added greenification. The greenification is airbrushed so that it sort of blends slowly from the green to the orange. See how that works? And then I added some dark green lines in between the ribs as opposed to the brown lines on the standard version. Yes, I have them stuffed with plastic bags which are falling out for your viewing amusement. But anyway, there we have the OctoPumpkin. And just because I can, if you watched a recent episode of Creepy Cheapies I did on my beautiful girlfriend Iris, you will notice, or you may remember, that I showed you a master. I have a master here on the OctoPumpkin. Just for those of you who are into the artistic side of this, this is what they look like unpainted. Now, why do I have this? I don't have a mold on the OctoPumpkin at this time, but I could eventually make another mold and make another run of OctoPumpkin masks by using this. This is called a master. It's 1 generation larger because latex shrinks slightly as it sets and dries and clots and coagulates. But the master is slightly bigger, and it says right there, master. Perhaps you can't see that, but trust me if you can, it says master right on there. The master is a little bit bigger, and it is very, very thick. It is cast very thick, thicker than you would want to wear on your head, I would think. Although I have seen masks that thick that were meant to be wearable, but the master copies are typically made extra thick so that they will not buckle or fold or sag or droop under the weight of plaster, which is put on them to make additional molds. So if I wanted to make more OctoPumpkins, maybe in a different color or some such, I could make a mold off of this master, and then from that mold I could get additional masks like this one. Okay? And the paper is indeed falling out, or rather plastic bags, but as you can see, and these are really good quality latex, by the way. These will last. These will hold up over time. The masks you get from me, folks, will probably be around longer than you will, unlike most mass-produced masks. But anyway, the OctoPumpkin, just something I thought would make a cool monster design, and I thought was sort of a natural for a mask. But I guess one thing I failed to take into account is that I don't know what you'd really wear with an OctoPumpkin mask if you were using him as a character. What would you do with him? Please leave a comment if you can think of what would make a good costume to actually put on with an OctoPumpkin, or to put on a mannequin figure, display figure of a life-size OctoPumpkin character. What do you think would be the body that would go with this? I don't know. Different ways you could go. Let me know what you think. And until next time, well, I'll just be here among the pumpkins and the octopi and all that fun stuff, waiting to scare you again next time. Good night, everybody. Drive safely.